up steps now.
Jay?
Yes, sir.
Signed off.
How you doing? Talking about.
Just that he's going, he came in last night. I'm surprised it was you. But he's going to Montreal. So he'll be here for the next meeting. So he should be back.
But the whole school here.
I'm still in 2 days. Like, probably. No, fine, because 3 days.
What are you prepared for?
This week I'm going to
This you?
Wednesday, Thursday.
This you? This you?
All right, good. So far, so
I did both my guys. One's for the Devils and that's the other one. But he also manages all my partners. So it has to be. Not as technically talented as him, not as skilled, but he knows how to. He runs the show. One of the biggest managers. No, he runs it. Yeah, all my everybody. China, okay? They like took it over.
Oh, yeah.
And they get all the very good. Yeah. Trust. I'm a trust
that's just what it's.
Because the most important thing is not the decision. If I make a decision, they know where it comes from. Because it's obvious. And by the way, and then
that's awesome. Now, the negative is you have to sort them.
and then you're never going to do more.
It's easy to rely.
They work on one. That's how it's
You reach out to any I'm sure I don't know. Well, there's a problem. Very cool.
That's how I got it.
I was when we first started 2 years ago. Instead of you going to freelancer, you come to us, we hire freelancers. This is how it understood to start with. The concept is that guys basically have a license where they can go to 5 different sites and collaborate. That's it. License 5 sites. These guys are so these guys are going to try to do their job. They want to get their license. So let's say average salary for super so per job, let's say it's just like they're making $25. So now if they only have 2 jobs, they're making $75. So they want to get a place. So we did it. Basically bought their license. So they work for us. We give them a flat rate. Surplus. So instead of literally no shopping. Between construction sites and these guys. It's very cool. Great company, really great experience, and they ship it.
what it is to make it.
sorry about the strong mechitza. I mean, the strong mechitza is a good thing, but it's not so easy to enjoy. Okay, it's been Baruch Hashem. It's supposed to come back to Ayaka. It's been a while. We're on page Pei Aleph. Every single word that we're going to learn now is all shining with the light of Rabbi Shimon's. Every single word is shining with the light of Rabbi Shimon. More than anything, Rabbi Shimon, just by way of a little bit of Chazar, where we're up to, more than anything, Rabbi Shimon brought us into contact with who we are, with our neshamas. It's the whole inyan of Pnimius Torah. Now, what the tzaddik, the mechaber of Sasson, is explaining here is that we grow up from the time that we're in this world, and the only part of ourselves that we really are familiar with, that we understand, is the guf, is the body. We understand the language of the body. From the time that we're babies, the body wants. And as we mature, we become somewhat more in touch with a level of nefesh, some emotions and so on. So for the most part, growing up, and many people, until they're 120, the ikar thing that they're involved with are different activities and thoughts and so on that revolve around the well-being of the guf, the health of the body, and even emotional well-being. So many people nowadays that they'll be metapel with certain emotional issues. They'll try to get help, which is much better than in the past, where people just were lost. They didn't know what to do. So that's the basic program of growing up, of living in this world. The connection that we have is to the guf. We worry about taking care of the guf, whatever that means, eating and exercise, and then the world of Issa could bring into all kinds of taivas, all kinds of crazy things, but we're caring about the body and to take care of the body, and to think about feelings, emotions, and so on. So all of that is the world that's called guf and nefesh. Guf and nefesh. So that's what we're involved with, that's what we take care of. The olam haruach, now once we're going into a deeper part of ourselves, ruach, and what we're going to begin to talk about, neshama, the world of ruach is much more hidden. Much more hidden. It affects us in a million ways, but we don't know what it is or where it's coming from. We don't understand that language. We're not familiar with it. The language of the Ruach. When it comes to the neshama, again, it affects us in so many ways, but we don't know who it is or what it is, and we don't know when it's affected. We know something's happening. We don't know where it's coming from. We're really just in that world of guf and nefesh. That's what we're thinking about. That's where we are, guf and nefesh. So So what we've been learning the last few ma'amarim is that Kadosh Baruch Hu loves us, and because of that, He gave us not just 7 mitzvahs, had to be metapel mostly with the guf and a little bit with the nefesh, but He gave us 613 mitzvahs and countless jabbanins and minhagim and so on that Kadosh Baruch Hu gave to us. Among those mitzvahs are mitzvahs that we don't understand at all. We don't really know what the inyan of tefillin is. Okay, we understand what it says in the parashas, but Tziyas other nice things, but the inyan of wearing a davke that you should wear in such a way, a box, straps, don't really know what this is. why Hashem Baruch chose to do it in that way, what that means, Davka, to wrap ourselves in such a way. And so it is with many, many, many of the other mitzvahs. We have no musig at all. We don't know. Again, there are beautiful ideas that we learn and that we see in this farm, but to understand Davka, like Chazal say, what's Mali Shchita, what is it? The Shecht, Davka, this way the animal, and this animal is and this animal, when it's shechted this way, then I can eat it, and that, tzavrim and ha'oirif, and what's the Hashem Baruch made these things, and what, again, there are many ramazim, and you can learn to the end of your life, many lifetimes, ideas and concepts. But the emes is that we don't understand, after all the things that are written, and all the things that we learn, the oimek, the depth of these mitzvahs are beyond us. And even Shlomo Melech said, there Chazal say he was talking about paraduma specifically, but when Shlomo Melech was the smartest Jew, said, I'm smart, this is far from me. Now you don't think that Shlomo Melech could say a good drasha on paraduma? You think that when Shlomo Melech said a drasha on Parshas Chukas, he didn't have what to say? He had what to say. But he said, with all of that, he rechaykim imeni. I don't know, it's far from me. It's far from me. Now these mitzvahs, bifrat, in particular, without our understanding it, without our understanding what they are, and really every mitzvah, on a deeper level we don't understand, but these mitzvahs, bifrat, as the Sfarim teach us, have a remarkable effect upon the deeper part of who we are. We can't understand them on the level of guf. What's a red cow? We don't understand. Guf doesn't speak to the guf. Mali this, mali that. They'll have to burn the red cows. Have to do that. B'chlal, like the Rambam says, what's tumah? What's the need of tumah and tahara? We don't understand the guf. The Rambam says very strongly, because people make a mistake. You shouldn't think that it means cleaning yourself. Doesn't mean taking a shower, going to mikvahs, and the whole seder of Beis HaMikdash. It doesn't mean cleaning yourself. So these mitzvahs in particular, that the body can't relate to, that even emotionally, even on a level of, again, nefesh, crossing a little bit into ruach, there are many beautiful ideas, but we can't really understand what they are. So, what are these mitzvahs? Who are these mitzvahs talking to? So, these mitzvahs are talking to the ani sheba'ani, the I, the deepest ani sheba'ani. All mitzvahs, but these befrat. There are mitzvahs that speak in particular, that they're speaking to the neshama. Now, we don't hear that. We don't understand that. And to the degree that a person studies the world of the neshama, learns, to the degree that a person enters into that world of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, which is the world of the neshama, which that part of the Torah is called neshmasa d'oraisa, the soul of the Torah, and the person davens to be able to connect to that part of who he is, the neshama. To that degree, he'll have a bigger hisayrus from all of the mitzvahs, but in particular from those mitzvahs that are speaking that language of the neshama. You see even on the most basic level, when it comes to davening. When it comes to davening, you'll be in a yeshiva, and you'll have who there are certain like let's say the yeshiva, I'm just saying, is 100 guys. They're like the 7 big daveners. Well, usually not the most respected guys in yeshiva. The 7 big daveners, like every davening is is bisman and. So the fact that you have other people in the same place that to them davening, you'll ask them, well, what's with your davening? You see, you're steiging in learning, you love learning, you're very strong in learning. What about davening? It doesn't speak to me. And they're telling you the truth. The davening doesn't speak to them. But of course, the truth is that davening is speaking to them in the deepest way. But since they're not in touch with that part of who they are, they feel it. It doesn't speak to me. It's not speaking to them because they're not in that place of me. So to the degree that a person comes into that place of me, and he's able to respond to the question that the Sefer is called by Ayeka, which is really not where are you, but who are you? So then those mitzvahs that are specifically speaking the language, the deeper language of the neshama, speak to him. If a person is a person of the guf, and again, when I say the guf, it doesn't mean excluding the intellect, because you have this guy in yeshiva, he could be brilliant, but davening doesn't speak to him. It doesn't speak to him. He could talk for hours about a mikveh, but toveling doesn't do it for him. But he likes to learn this of a mikveh, and he'll learn Masechta Mikvayos, and he'll enjoy it, and he'll give a shir on Masechta Mikvayos. But it's not the language, because Mikvayos, a mikveh is the language. It's a different language. It's the language of Tahara. The language of Tahara is in the Neshama Dike Sprach. It's a different language. In the Neshama, the language of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is a different language. It's a different Sprach. Jews want it, they're drawn to it, but to start to learn it and to understand that language of the neshama, the language of the eye. So, to the extent that a person is mashkia, he invests in the soul of Torah, which we're going to learn much more about. And he invests in understanding his own neshama and who he is. He will find himself being unbelievably uplifted and changed, transformed by the mitzvahs bichlal, by all mitzvahs, but especially by those mitzvahs that are the ones that speak more directly to the neshama, like davening. He'll be more affected by those that speak the language of the neshama. Together with having a mind and a heart that are not cluttered by things of this world and are not chalila, being exposed to ugly things of this world that can make a person deaf, mamish deaf to the neshama, and deaf to the language of the mitzvahs. The mitzvahs transform a person, but there has to be kadam kol a person. So that's what we're talking about. Now, as far as the neshama is concerned, look at page Pei Aleph. Page Pei Aleph. That's what we're up to. There are deeper parts of a person, even deeper than the guf, the nefesh, and the ruach. There are deeper parts of a person. And these are deeper and even more hidden. Even more hidden. What about the guf, nefesh? These are very, very hidden parts of who we are. But the Torah was given to us. Akash Baruch Hu gave us these mitzvahs. And the mitzvahs of the Torah, especially the mitzvahs that are more hidden, as I was talking about, that are more mysterious. Akash Baruch Hu gave us the mitzvahs that are directed and speaking to the neshama. So you might have grown up hearing, if you were learning growing up a lot of the Tamei mitzvahs, which you know that the Maral and the Balei HaPnimis were not, there wasn't their Indian to talk about the reason for the mitzvah of kashrus. So for instance, if you grow up hearing, learning that, hearing that explanation from your teachers and from your Rebbeim, that a kosher life is a healthier life. Kila, we don't have Jews that are overweight and delighting in kosher kishke and kugel after Shabbos also. So the way because Hashem made these laws, and somehow these animals and this way of eating and so on. This is, if you do it the right way, this is going to make you healthy. And we know that the Balei HaPnimius, like the Ramban, were very upset about this. And the Ramban, who is Makubal Eloki, so the Ramban says, you think the Torah is a book of medicine? The Torah is written by a nutritionist? The Torah is written by the Bar Olam, the creator of the world. And if you eat something that's not kosher, it's killing your neshama. Because you could eat kosher stuff and it'll kill your goof just as well. We all know that. Keeping kosher doesn't mean that you're healthy. So something like that, for instance, basar b'cholav, meat and milk, and the laws of kashrus, speak to the neshama. And if you only are listening with the goof, and that's your whole way of understanding kashrus, is it's good for you. Shrimp is bad for you, and kosher sushi is good for you, which I never tasted in my life. Either of them, Baruch Hashem. So kosher sushi, that's good for you. So you spend your whole life sitting in some restaurant, someplace in a nice from neighborhood, with some guy dropping sushi into your mouth. You lie there, and it all has a chassidische hechsher, whatever, and that's good for you. The Indian of kashrus is the language of the neshama. Is talking about what you eat, which is a physical act, but it's the language of Rabbi Shimon Yochai is talking about when you learn Zohar Kodesh, is the language of the neshama. What's the Indian of a piece of treifus, of nevela? What is it? What does it mean, basar b'cholav? When you learn it, you take out a Likutei Halachos from Nosson Brestov, and you learn basar b'cholav. You see what's the Indian of basar b'cholav? What's meat? What's milk? What is meat? What is milk? What's the Indian of mixing? Why can't you mix meat and milk? What is that? What is that? And even after learning the whole long shtickle there, look at halachos, Shalom Malach will still say, I know this, I understand this, but it's still far. Because the level of the neshama, the mamakim, there are 10 levels of the neshama. Mamakim, Krasich, Hashem, is very, very deep. But then but the mitzvahs are speaking, especially these mitzvahs are speaking to that part of who we are. To give birth, to bring out within us that part of us that's called the neshama. Lahalhit es oira, to ignite that light, to illuminate ourselves. Every mitzvah. So when a person says, that's not doing it for me, it doesn't mean it's a problem with the mitzvah. It means it's a problem with you. There's no problem with the mitzvah. The person says, Shabbos I don't feel it. It doesn't speak to me. Me, because when you say the word me, you don't know what you're talking about. If you would really go into that place, it's called me, Shabbos would speak to you, but Shabbos is not speaking to who you think you are. Shabbos is not speaking to that. Lahalit are legalis is kedushasa, but pnimius adam. Every mitzvah has the kar to megala the kedusha, to help to be megala the kedusha and the pnimius of a person. If you're looking for that, if you're trying to hear it, and if you work on that, milvad ha-mitzvahs v'anchayis shel ha-Torah b'rayvet elyon zeh. Now, besides the actual mitzvahs, meaning all the hanchas means all the instructions and directions that we have with every single halacha, because keeping the halacha means keeping every single part of the halacha. Because again, on the level of guf and nefesh and the human intellect, we don't understand what a halacha is. So what's the difference if I wait 6 hours? Okay, I understand there's a big thing. Now I learned that there's what meat is and what milk is and pnimius. I learned more about it, but why does it have to be so I have to wait so many hours? What's the difference? So I don't have to wait that many hours. I'll try to keep it, but I understand what it means, but I'm not going to keep the amount of time. So that doesn't work. It doesn't work. It only works when it's kept. So, but why all these things? A million rules and regulations, and I don't know what's the nafka whether I do it like this or I do it like that. So I can't say it's my kriyishma. It's 9:01. It's my kriyishma, and now it's 9:02. So it's fafalm muvas layichal. This kind of Gemara says the pasuk in Kahelis. It's irreparable. I bashed it up. It's done. I missed my kriyishma. So why does Hashem make such a thing that it's 9:01, 9:02? It's enough community to Hashem whether or not it's at 9 o'clock or it's at 9:01. The main thing is I say Kriya Shema. And people who are outside of the world of halacha, to them, this is very, very bizarre. The whole thing is crazy. Oh, you missed it too bad. So you ate matzah, whatever, you didn't eat the matzahs by chatzos. To the eyes of a person who's new to this or outside of the sees people racing to the Afrikaner. I don't mean to look for it, I mean to eat it, to finish up this man, and they're looking the whole time. But the whole thing is strange. It's a different language. It's a different language. The same way anybody that never learned the Svarim. Somebody was telling this to me recently that somebody told him to try to learn Kedushas Levi. He never learned any Kedushas Seifers. A person was learning his whole life, but he never learned Kedushas. He heard so many nice things about it. He wants to learn Kedushas Levi, so he started to learn Kedushas Levi. Now they came out with an English one. Artsville came out last year. He doesn't need English. The guy knows how to learn. So he said to me, learns Kedushas Levi. He says that doesn't speak to me. It doesn't speak to me. Because it's like me, you're standing next to some Chinese guy that's talking to you, and you say to him, "You're not speaking to me." So the poor Chinese guy is saying, "What do you mean? Of course I'm talking to you. You just don't understand Chinese." He said, "I'm talking to you. The guy's telling you the deepest thing in the world, and you're standing there looking. He says, "I don't know." So the difference is that that it doesn't take much humility to say, "I don't understand Chinese." But for someone who's learning Torah for 50 years to say, "I don't understand the Kedushas Levi," that takes a certain amount of humility. Instead of saying, "It doesn't speak to me." Oh, he's speaking to you. Kedushas Levi is talking to you. You don't understand the language of the neshama. But I understand Hebrew. I'm learning my whole life. I understand. I learned Svarim. I'm learning my whole life. I understand Hebrew. I'm Israeli. I know Hebrew. But the Kedushas Levi doesn't speak to me. He's talking to you. But it's the language of Rebbe Shimon. It's the language of the neshama. So someone who's outside doesn't understand. He sees that there's a Rebbe and he's making a tish Friday night. The tish begins like at 1 a.m, and this guy comes to the tish because some friends dragged him to a tish. He doesn't want to go. He says, "You got to go to this tish." He comes there to this tish at 1 o'clock in the morning. The Rebbe comes out to make kiddush, right? 1 o'clock in the morning, and he comes out. My grandson was he's in yeshiva in Israel, so it was last Shabbos we were together. And he was telling me he went to have the Suda together. The Tzaddik Rabbi Shimon Morgenstern. He went to have the Suda there, and he said they began he was there in the winter, and the Suda began at like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, Friday night. So take some guy that's like some like wise guy, take some guy like this, regular like American guy, and say, come to this thing, and he comes to the tish, comes to Friday night. Everybody else already made kiddush at 5:30, and he's coming over there, and he's in this room the tzaddik's in the room for a few hours. So the guy says, "What's he doing with Baruch Shalom? What's going on over here?" And then the whole way the Suda is, it's a different language. It's Chinese. That's like it doesn't. So he says this. I don't go for this stuff. It doesn't speak to me because it's the language of Rebbe Shimon Yochai. It's a different language. It's speaking to you, but you don't know who you are. If you would know who you are, it would speak to you. It would speak to you. It wouldn't speak. It would scream at you. But that's a deeper part of you. But all the mitzvahs are in such a way. So that's what he continues. So besides besides just the mitzvahs themselves, with all the halachas of the mitzvahs, are speaking to the neshama. Gam Teres Asayim Lamedes is Darchi Havodah Ruchanis Hamukuvanas Lahayers Or Nishmas Adam Bekibro. But Hashem revealed to the tzaddikim a special part of Torah, because there's Pshat, Remesh, Drush, and Sod, Pardes, and that part of Torah that's called Sod. It's called Rabbi Shimon. That's called Lag B'Omer. That part of Torah that's called the Neshama of Torah. Every single thing there is speaking in a way directly and openly to the Neshama, in the language of the Neshama, in a very open way. Speaking to the Neshama, to illuminate and to awaken the Neshama. Speaking in a very open way. not in a mysterious way like like halacha. Halacha speaks in a way that we understand that we have to keep all these things, and that somehow all of these things are good for me, and that all these things are helping my neshama. And I believe in that. But I might not necessarily feel that. I don't feel that. In order to feel that, you have to begin to familiarize yourself more and more with the world of Sod. That part of Torah that's called Sod. With the neshama of the Torah. The neshama of the Torah speaks directly in a way that is the language of the neshama. It's the language of the neshama. Halacha is speaking more the language of the guf and telling you 901, not 902. So it's the language of the guf. I look at my watch, it's 901, I better say Kriyashma. But Sod is speaking the language of the neshama itself. Zui avodah ruchanis shel dveikis pnimis v'amuka b'machave hamachshava v'kavanas halev hapnimis. This is already avodah and ruchnis of dveikis of pnimis. Again, these words don't mean anything to people who have no connection to Rabbi Shimon. So they'll always quote the Gemara that says, "Well, boy sidbak" means to Talmud Chacham, to give money to the Talmud Chacham. It's true, but they said that's the whole meaning of Dveikus, Basha. That's what it means. Boy sidbak. That's it. That's the end of it. Dveikus. That's the whole thing. Yeah, what's the matter? That's what it says in the Gemara. But what about Dveikus, Basha? What about Dveikus? Oh, do me a favor, I'm not the Baba Sali, and don't talk to me about this stuff. What are you talking about? Dveikus. Zuya avodah ruchanish al dveikus pnimis v'amuka b'machavei hamachshava. The kavanas halev hapnimis. It's the world of Sod. That's the world of Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai. Ashrei ha'am lemdech, ashrei ma'oim demal seidech. Ashrei ha'am lemdech. Fortunate are the Jews who are learning your language, and understand the secrets that you were sent to reveal to us. Inside each and every Jew, even this guy that says, "Do me a favor and leave me alone," inside each and every person, there is a roivet pnimi va'amoik, a very deep part, that is desperately longing to be close to Hashem. That's the me. That's the I. And the deepest part of a Jew is thirsting for these great expanses of the soul. Wants to hear the language of the soul. A niggin has an amazing ability. A niggin, a song, has an amazing ability to break through parts on the outside. A niggin. The neshama wants to hear this. Remember that sweet fellow Yehuda that was in Kol Zman Neshama B'Kibbutz. They were singing the niggin in the car, and he ended up getting killed. He was singing Elokai Neshama Shasad B'Tahiri. The soul of the Jew is longing for that part of himself. But he's confused. He doesn't understand what is that. Where's that coming from? Mikan novas anihira shel am Yisrael al rozei Torah. This is the source of that nihira, the great longing, the movement, like the word nahar, a river, the current of the Jewish people, that they're seeking to understand rozei Torah, to connect somehow to the secrets of Torah. Was it that this year people are not allowed to go to Meron? So there are hundreds of thousands of people who are disappointed. Not just I'm disappointed. They're looking forward the whole year to go to Meron. It's not safe not to go, but they're looking forward the whole time to go to Meron. Somebody was sending around from the tzaddik, from Rav Mordechai Eliyahu. You saw this. I got from a lot of people. Just the last day or two that Rav Mordechai Eliyahu, that there was for reasons of security, there was a years ago there was a security issue, and they I guess there was the same stuff as always. They were firing on the north, so they had to close down Meron on Lag Bomer because of some security issues. So people were very tzibrocha, and there were some tzaddikim that the night coming to Lag Bomer they had the same dream, and the dream was that Rabbi Shimon came to them and said, Don't feel bad. I'm not in Meron this year. I'm with the soldiers on the front. I'm with the soldiers trying to look out for them. They had the same dreams. Don't feel bad. I'm not hanging out in Meron tonight. I'm going to be with the Chevra. Rabbi Shimon, it's a different language. So what is it that Am Yisrael has to think? So it's like this, to learn Rosei Torah, to learn the secrets of Torah. And usually Am Yisrael Rosei Torah. So many people to go to Meron. Al Machshavas Kodesh Vel Sfas HaNeshama V'Olam. People that want to hear this language of the Neshama. They want to understand it. It's a very big kasha, and those people don't care about it. It's a very big kasha. It's a very strong kasha. Yeshna kmiya pnimis amuka b'levavos rabim. There's a deep longing in the hearts of many people. El merchave ein sof, to the expanses of the infinite. Not because stam it's interesting. But I need this. I want this. Which of course, that's the longing for God, for the infinite. You see this by people who are not Jewish too. There's such a thing, a big gagur. I'm not the people of the world. That there's a gagur for the Ein Sof, for the infinite, and all different ways. People are looking for that which is me'al, me'eva. They want to have a connection to Elokus. It's a gagur to Hashem. Asheteres hasoy milamedis is drachav and nesivoisov. And that part of Torah, Rabbi Shimon, teaches the ways, the pathways of how to get Takash Baruch. There, the language of the neshama is spoken very openly in that world. Spoken very openly. It's not spoken by way of 901 and 902, which is itself again helps everything is the language of the neshama, but it's in a code that we don't understand. It's hard for us to understand. But when you learn Sod, you begin to understand the Kedushas Levi. Look at the Kedushas Levi is talking to you. The Kedushas Levi is talking about how it's talking in a very open way about how to get Hashem, which you don't hear in necessarily in the nuances of halacha in an open and clear way. But in the language of Sod, you hear it. Even though, of course, halacha is taking you on that path, but you don't hear the language, you don't understand the language. Lachain, therefore, Hatzimon l'rozei Torah, this great thirst, especially now before Mashiach comes, at the end of time, this tremendous thirst, l'rozei Torah, for the secrets of Torah. And now they began in Eretz Yisrael. We had some chaverim that were talking about it. But they began now in Eretz Yisrael. There's a limud of Zohar Yomi, not just Daf Yomi, a Rambam Yomi, a Tanya Yomi. There's a limud to begin. Now Oiz V'Hada is putting out booklets with Oiz V'Hada. That there's a limud to begin to learn Zohar Yomi, something which if somebody would have said that when I was a kid, that there's going to be a Zohar Yomi, you'd think that what is this? Everybody went crazy. We're Kabbalists, and then if I learn the Zohar Yomi, I'm going to lose my mind or go off the derech. These are what we heard when we were growing up. When you said the word Zohar, we knew the Zohar was Zohar Kodesh. There was certain people that they do that, and the rest of us were just trying to stick to the 901, 902 thing. And I don't know if the Zohar is not allowed. You're not allowed. It's not allowed. The Simon l'Rozei Torah. Makosas Hashem he. This thirst for the secrets of Torah is Bakashas Hashem. It's the search for Hashem. It's the longing for Hashem. It's wanting to hear Hashem speak to us. Because Rabbi Shimon was translating that language. Rabbi Shimon was interpreting the language of Hashem. Umisha Yavin Zayis, and whoever understands this, Yeda Shadarach Lakach Kalelis as Kol Sidriat Torah Mitzvahs. And the more the person learns so, the more he realizes that, wow, there's a big difference between 901 and 902. Between saying Kriya Shema B'Zman and missing Kriya Shema. What that means to miss Zman Kriya Shema. Because he now knows what Zman is, what is time. What's time? What does it mean? What does it mean, time? That we know from the Alter Rebbe and later on from his grandson, the Tzemach Tzedek, and Tzaddikim, that when the Baal Tani was in jail, he knew exactly what time it was. Right? Because how did he know? Because the tziruf that he knew of, the Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei, the tziruf from the Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei is during the day. The 12 tziruf from the Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei has 12 different permutations. And the Shem Aleph Dal Nud Yud has 12 different, 4 letters, right? 12 different permutations. So during the day is the Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei is shining, and during the night is the Shem Aleph Dal Nud Yud. So when the jailkeeper, he was in a dungeon where there was no window, and he was there, and he came and the Baal Tanya was wearing tefillin, and the guy that was the jailkeeper said, Rabbi, I thought you don't wear tefillin. You guys don't do that at night. The Baal Tanya told him it's exactly 6:23 in the morning. Sure. So the guy said, he didn't have his phone with him, the Baal Tanya, you understand? So how did you know that it's 6:23? Pinklach. Baal Tanya said, that's where it is in the tziruf of the Shem Havayim. The letters of Yud Kei Vav Kei, he says, that's where I'm holding that part of the letter Vav. No? You could tell your time by the Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei? You could tell your time by the Shem Aleph Dal Nud Yud? We can't, but he could. Because he understood that language of the Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei and the Shem Aleph Dal Nud Yud. And when you learn sight, when you learn Rabbi Shimon's world, you enter into that world, and that's already advanced level, right? Very advanced. But you learn that. You learn what the letters are of Yud Kei Vav Kei. And you learn what's Aleph Dal Nud Yud. And this is the day, this is the night. And then you learn more Beprati Pratis, the Tanya was able to learn in the ice itself, where it's holding, in which part of the letter, and that's 6:23. You can't make that up. That's how they lived. They lived in that world. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. It's a different world. I mean, it's our world. And when a person is in that world, then all Kol Sidrei HaTorah Mitzvahs, then he's overwhelmed by the beauty of every single din, every single halacha. And he begins to see how the difference between 901 and 902 is the difference between Kirvus Elokim, getting closer to Hashem, and not getting closer to Him. That until 901, Kriya Shema had that opening. Till 90, and then it's 902, Fafal. Okay, there are other ways to get close, but Kriya Shema is not going to work now. Why not? What's the difference to God, whether it's 901 or it's 902? That's something that you could learn if you want to. You can learn. On the Tzrichim Liel Shleimer, Hashem wants us to be whole, Shleimim. He wants us to bring out not just the guf and the nefesh, not just to work out in the gym and to eat healthy food. That's all good. That's also Hashem's wants to be healthy. But Hashem wants us to go beyond that and to reach kol rivadei yishiyoseinu, all of the layers of who we are. The tzura nechona v'yashara in a proper, in a healthy and proper way. Of course, that means that when it comes to learning Sod as well, it has to be done in the right way, in the right time, and with the right person, the right people, the right svarim, of course. V'chol ha'revadim mevi osanu l'chios chayim shleimim va'ashir. And when a Jew does, it brings that person to a life that's filled with shleimus. It's filled with shleimus and ashiris. Wealth doesn't mean necessarily money, but Ashiras, real wealth. Chaim shel oishu u'malayos, a life that's filled with fulfillment. And Chaim she'esh ben mimush atzmi molei, a life where you're living who you are, that brings out who you are. B'chol rivadei ha'atzmius u'b'chol merchaveha, and all the levels of the atzmius, of the I, of the ani, u'b'chol merchaveha, in all of its expanses. We could begin to do this with children, little children in school. From the time that they're in school, we could begin to talk this language. It has to be done in a very smart way. There are very, very clever people in Eretz Yisrael who already have started to put out different children's books. That I have two of them that were sent to me over the past 10 years. You have the Chavos Talmidim for children. It has also pictures and things, different things like cartoons. And you have also, they made, some Hasidim made like a Tanya for children. It's a gewaldige thing. To speak to children from the time that they're little, the language, to teach them the language of the Neshama. Children are very good at language. I have my grandchildren in Eretz Yisrael. They just started going this year to all Hebrew. Until now, they were the Americans in Ghana. Now they're in a kindergarten with Israelis and everything's in Hebrew. To me, it's an amazing thing. Completely, everything is totally fluent. And I talk to them, and I ask, how do you say this in Hebrew? Where did you even hear that? Children are unbelievably adept at learning a new language. The problem is, as we get older, it becomes harder for us. I don't know scientifically what that is about, why that is, but that seems to be that's a mitzvah. There are exceptions to that, but there's a mitzvah. I don't know. I guess there's a part of the brain that, when you're younger, it hears that the language. But children, so from the time that they're young, they can be taught this, and it speaks to them. And they're going to want to be closer to Hashem, and they're going to want to be more excited. They're going to be more excited about learning Torah, and to want to go to shul. Not you have to fight and beg your kid to go for 10 minutes into shul. Because davening, why doesn't the kid want to go to shul? The kid's honest. He's no different than his father. Davening doesn't speak to the father, but the father goes because of responsibility, because he's a mature person, so he feels a responsibility to go to shul, or because of social conventions, or because there's a good kids. Whatever it is that's bringing him to shul, he goes to shul. The kid doesn't care about any of that other stuff. He doesn't care about the kiddush because mommy's food is better. He doesn't care. Maybe he might care about kiddush. This could be, but he doesn't. He certainly does not care about other things, social conventions or responsibility. He doesn't feel any responsibility. So the kid just says honestly, "It doesn't work for me. I want to stay home." While the fathers drag themselves to shul. If it's a very good kiddush, they'll walk but they'll go only when it's close to kiddush. The kid's no different. He doesn't know that language. So davening doesn't speak, because the davening is really a neshamadik avoid. It doesn't do anything for it. It takes time, and it doesn't do for the guf, the nefesh. But the davening is a neshamadik avoid. If you're not an ish neshama, davening is not your thing. Or they say now, davening doesn't work for me. Davening doesn't speak to me. And so on and so on. The truth is that this life of living in there, with that connection to the neshama, is the most natural thing for you. And that's what brings a person to a place of simcha. When you're living who you are, when you're living your life, even if it's a small thing, everybody sees this, that if you like music and you're happy when you listen to music. And if your parents don't let you play an instrument and you love music, you're miserable because you're a musical person. So your parents don't let you play because it makes noise. But you're a musical person. It makes you miserable. And when you're able, and your father says, all right, go ahead, you can play. So then you're happy because you feel that's me. So even a small thing, that when it's you, makes you happy. Even a silly little thing, when it's you, it makes you happy. Because why? Because it's natural. And when you're living yourself, then you're happy. When you're living somebody else, then you're not happy. It's a very simple formula. So the self of the self is the neshama. So when a Jew is living that life of the self of the self of the neshama, so then that's the place that's called simcha. It's a place of simcha. Lishum tzimtzum u'moaka. Then he's not living anymore an artificial life that he feels is constricting who he is, that's keeping him from himself, that's preventing him from living his life. Because that's the root of unhappiness. That feeling that there's something that's holding me back from doing what I want. When you're immature, doing what you want is stam narishkeit. But when you're a mature person, then doing what you want means what you really want, not what's fun, but what your neshama wants. And when you are living a life of the neshama, what your neshama wants, so then from there will come simcha. And this could be with all of the children, from the time that they're little. You don't have to wait till we're older. We're trying to get through bad habits and old habits, and we're ready. It's hard for us to learn a new language. When you're older, it's hard to learn a new language. With children, it's very easy. They're very open to it. It has to be done in a very careful way. It takes tremendous chachma. It seems to outsiders that being a teacher in first grade must be an easy thing, but the emes is that's the biggest chachma in the world to be a very good first grade teacher. It's the biggest chachma in the world, and I have tremendous respect for those teachers that are special with the little kids. It's a tremendous chachma. It seems like, what's the big deal? You don't have to prepare a lesson. You just go in there. You say Aleph, Beis, Gimel. That's the biggest chachma in the world. And if we can look at each other and acknowledge that we're so messed up, is because it began way back then. It began all the way back then. And that's why I told you many times the story about how when the Kotzker went back to Tomashov and everybody was begging for him to come, and he became the famous Kotzker. He went back to his hometown, which was Tomashov, and he was now the famous Kotzker Rebbe. So everybody wanted, all the rich people wanted him to come stay Shabbos by him. And the Kotzker said no, he wants to stay by his Malamed. His Malamed from first grade was very old man, was very poor and lived in a horrible little hovel. And the Kotzker said, by my Rebbe, I want to stay for Shabbos. And all the rich guys in Tomashov were all insulted, and they're angry. What do you want to stay by there? There's nothing to eat in his house. So the Kotzker, remember what the Kotzker said? The Kotzker said, the only thing in my life that was absolutely clear is what I heard by him. Ever since then, it's been confusing. What he said, and when I heard from him, he meant Aleph. He meant it. He meant it. Ever since then, it's not clear. Wherever I've gone, it's been, but the Rebbe from first grade, Cheder. You ever see places in the writings and the teachings of Rav Soloveitchik when he speaks about when he was in Cheder, when he was a boy in Cheder, and he had a Lubavitcher, a Lamed, the way as an old man, he never stopped talking about it. Think about it. This Malamed that he had. Because the Malamed was secretly teaching. Can you imagine he had Reb Chaim Brisker's grandson who was teaching Tanya. It was against the rules. The Rav spoke about it. Rav Yeshua spoke about it. His father got very upset when he found out. Rav Moshe got very upset that when he found out that the Rebbe was not just sticking to the program, he was doing secretly Tanya. Because there in Chaslavich, the majority of the Jews were Lubavitcher Chassidim, and the Rebbe was Lubavitcher. But Rabbi Yeshua said that his connection to God came from that. From when he was a little boy. The connection to Hakadosh Baruch Hu came from those secret Tanya classes. Now he was a person who knew how to learn, right? He knew how to learn a Black Gemara. We're all asking. He knew how to learn a Black Gemara. But he said, "Be asking me where did it begin? That feeling of godlichkeit, of elokus, of godliness." It's the language of Rabbi Shimon Yochai. Bli shum tzimtzum u'marke, bli shum reikonish, all his smiling. To live a life without emptiness. To live a life without emptiness. To live a life where every single part of you is registering full. Every part of you is full, not just your stomach, not just your brain with good ideas or whatever. Every part of you is full. Chaim shel kodesh, a life of kedusha. Chaim shel bracha. Toidieni ora chaim. So David HaMelech said, he was asking Hashem to make known to me Todieni Arachaim. Tell Malach said, Rebbeinu Shalom, please, I'm asking you, make known to me, Todieni Arachaim, make known to me the Arachaim, the path of life. Soiva Samochais. Soiva means Mazbi L'chol Chayrot, so means Sova, to be full, satiated, satisfied. Todieni Arachaim, please Hashem, make known to me the path of life, the fullness, Soiva Samochais, the fullness of joy. Not a little bit of joy. A little bit of happiness because your team won or something. A little bit of happiness. You're a big, you're a big Yankee fan and they won the World Series. You're a big Mets fan and they went in last place. Not just a little bit. Not just a little bit of happiness. Not just a little bit of happiness. Soiva smachos, the fullness of happiness. David Melech said, I want the whole thing. Yeah, David Melech asked for everything. He was the richest person, the richest Jew. That wasn't it. David Melech would say about his money, it doesn't work for me. About his wealth, about all the gold and silver, it didn't work for him. Toidieni Arachaim, Soivas Machos, the fullness of joy. What's the fullness of joy? Espanecha. The fullness of joy is living a life in your presence. Espanecha, seeing your face. That's the Simcha of Lag B'Omer. And even if you don't have it, you want it. And there's a joy in wanting that joy. There comes also a Simcha. Soivas Machos, Espanecha. To live a life in your presence. Because that's all my neshama wants. All my neshama wants is to live in your presence. Ne'imois bi mincha netzach. The delights, the ne'imus, the pleasantness, the beauty that comes with being in your right hand. Netzach forever. The joy, the fullness of joy that comes being in your presence and in your embrace. That's what David Melech was looking for. The whole mitzvah of David Melech. That's why really, when you want to understand Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, so you say a lot of Tehillim. Because the world of David Melech is this, that's the world of Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon and David Melech is the same thing, it's the same hemshech. David Melech, Rabbi Shimon, the Ari HaKadosh, the Hashem Tov HaKadosh, and all the other tzaddikim from, not just those tzaddikim, but that's the world, that world of in your presence. Es panecha, panecha. The whole avodah of coming back to Hashem, which is beginning strongest by Elul. We start to say L'Dod Hashem Ori V'Yishi. When Ashkenazim start to say L'Dod Hashem Ori V'Yishi, it says Panecha Hashem Avakesh. As David HaMelech said, Es Panecha. That's what David says. Acha Shalti Meis Hashem. There's one thing that I want. That's what David HaMelech said. Acha Shalti Meis Hashem Ois Avakesh. Shivti Hashem Koi Mechai. Lach Zois B'Noyim Hashem. Same thing like here. Es Panecha Hashem Avakesh. Ataste Panecha Mimeni. I'm seeking your presence, your face. Don't hide your face from me. Because David HaMelech understood that that's the only place, and he had plenty of sorrows in his life. But that's the only way to find that, not the palace. He said, but David, he said, you have such a beautiful palace, and you're the richest Jew in the whole world, and you're the king of Israel, you're just the most powerful, the richest person, and David HaMelech said, doesn't speak to me. Doesn't speak to me. What speaks to me? Espanecha Hashem Avakesh. Al taste panecha mimeni. Tzomalecha nafshi. Kamalecha b'sari b'yisirei. Kein b'kodesh chazisicha. There, it's uscha. Chveidecha. Espanecha Hashem Avakesh. That's the David. That's the. I guess it's the language of David HaMelech. It's the language of Tehillim. You see that for certain people, Tehillim is so hard, it's so painful, it's so difficult. But for the women in particular, you see the Tehillim in general, and by the women, the Tehillim is the most natural language. And that's why you'll never ever have such a thing where a woman will learn a piece of Kedushas Levi and say, it doesn't speak to me. It won't happen. Only a guy. There are a number of reasons for that, but the ego is not what he learned. He's not, The woman doesn't have the woman's problem. Women have other inyanim, but not ego. That's not what the problem. The ego, women are not with it. If there's a woman who's a balas gaiva, it's very, very strange. It's an oddity to have a woman who's a balas gaiva. By men, it's very strange if he's not. But by a woman, the women are not. The women are, by nature, the women are very humble. They don't have all these inyanim like that. The guys have this stuff. They don't have that stuff. So a woman, when she hears David HaMelech, is David HaMelech. That's our language. And you hear Kedushas Levi. It's the language. They have, because the ego is that which is Anochi Omei Beni B'nei. The Anochi, the ego, is standing between the real self and the artificial self. That's the ego. So women don't have such a thing like that, with the ego standing in between. So therefore, the language of the neshama is very, very natural to them. It's hard for them to understand why the husbands don't want to go to shul, don't want to daven. Women don't. What's the matter with David HaMelech? Why don't you like to say Tzugah D'Zimra? Why are you always going by Baruch Hu? That's after David HaMelech, right? David HaMelech is by the beginning of davening, mostly. I mean, afterwards are here and there, but most of David HaMelech is the beginning of davening. They can't understand, why does my husband always go to shul after David HaMelech? The best part is David HaMelech. My husband goes always after them. He goes, Baruch Hu, Hashem. What about until there's David HaMelech? You don't like David HaMelech? He doesn't speak to me. Why, is he a Lamdan? I don't think he's such a big Lamdan. He wasn't such a big Lamdan. David HaMelech was a big Lamdan. He doesn't speak to me. But for the women, David HaMelech is, David HaMelech is speaking my language. It's the language, it's the same language as Rebbe Shimon. It's the language of Kivus Elokim Li Toiv. Kivus Elokim. It's the language of the Neshama. Children understand it very much. Nigunim, Tehillim is the sweetest thing in Eretz Yisrael, in Yerushalayim. There's in the park there where my grandchildren, right where they live, every Shabbos there's this old lady that comes. The children are all playing in the park, and there's this old lady that comes there every Shabbos, and she sits on the bench. All the little girls, it's the sweetest thing on earth. All the little girls, they all from all different backgrounds. All these little girls that are playing, they all come there, and they sit around her. And she has a bag of goodies, of nash. Eretz Yisrael dig a nash, nothing extravagant, you understand? She has a bag of nash, and she starts to stay with them Tehillim. They repeat after her. She says a capital Tehillim. And all the little girls are screaming out the Tehillim. It's the sweetest thing in the world. All little girls, and the way she talks to them. Yiladot chamudot mitukot, Shabbat shalom, איך אני אוהבת אתכם. Bo, she says, let's say some of the words of David HaMelech. And she says, it's a different world. It's a different world, and the children get it. We have a problem with it. If it would be somebody that would try to gather together the men, we'd all look at him and say, like, what are you collecting for? What's going on? You know, what are you doing? What is this? What's your angle? What is this about? Unfortunately, we became very cynical. Not everybody, there's still people like, that are pure like that, but mostly become cynical. It's like, and we've been burnt a lot. Well, let's face it, there are a lot of collectors. But the children, they don't have any of that. They're not old. They're not used. They don't understand the cynicism. And this lady is so pure, like the day that she was born. And she comes there, she just to the children. Hashem's work should help us to be children again. Amen. And to understand what Rabbi Shimon was saying, to be the simcha with the silula, to be simcha with all the tzaddikim, and to give nachas ruach to the B'rei Adam. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos.